Hi, and welcome back to my little nook in this corner of the universe called YouTube. Welcome to Koala's Keep In. I am Koala speaking. If you're new to my channel, I am a shamanic practitioner, mainly within the Nordic tradition, and I'm also initiated into Kira medicine and Inca shamanism through the Munay Ki and the Nusta Karpai. And in this series that you're watching right now, I'm talking a little bit about my shamanic toolbox. And we have reached the point of sacred mountains, sacred stones, more importantly, the spirit of these stones and the mountains. So, how are these a part of my toolbox? So in the last video, I talked a little bit about how I work with crystals and stones in healing and everyday life and how I get to know them. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about honoring the spirit of the stones because that's quite how it is. So in some cultures, in some traditions, the spirit of the mountains are called the wisdom keepers or the wise ones. They have stood through time and like eons of time since the beginning of Earth. And they have seen everything, heard everything, been through it all, and they are the wise ones. And it's also in these traditions where the spirit of our ancestors live and where we can connect to them and meet with them. So this isn't really something we talk about in Sweden that much. We do have some mountains, of course, and we can work with those. We don't, in my knowledge, we there's no differentiation between like a sacred mountain and a sacred place, like we call them a power place, kraftplats in Sweden. So a Kraftplats, a power place, is a place in nature where their energies are very sacred. It can be like it can be a mound of some sort. It can be I don't want to say a graveyard, but like an ancient like Viking burial ground. Or medieval burial ground or something like that. And for me, it's more sacred to be in one of those places that hasn't been exploited, that hasn't been dug up, than the ones that have, because it's a more peaceful, it's more restful. But I do visit both types of them. But those are to me a bit more sacred, or like not more sacred than sacred mountains, but more closer to home, because we have a lot of those in Sweden, a lot of those sacred places or like power places or sacred places. And when it comes to mountains, we do have mountains. We have a few big mountains, and they are like when you look up at them, they are like these big, almost some of them look like just big boulders placed in nature, because they're not like this. They're seldom like this. Of course, we have these kind of mountains as well, but they're more like like they have one side that is like this, like 90 degrees, and they are most often covered um, by different kind of pine trees, like spruces and yeah, and pines, and they are really like they really look like ancient um like creatures that looks upon the earth. And there are quite a few stories about the mountains and about the trolls that live inside the mountains, that sort of thing. And I'm not gonna go into much into that today. It's not one of my expert areas to talk about that kind of mythology, but I do like it. I do delve into it sometimes. For me personally, I connect with them with the places that are near me, but mostly I have done that through other cultures and spiritual practices than the Nordic one. But in the Nordic one, we have a deep connection to nature and to stones, but more often, like if there are stones that look like they have been like fell down from like a high place and they are seemingly random in the nature, in the landscape, and they are covered with moss and they look like a lot of like stone trolls just coming there and being. And there are a lot of mythologies in Sweden about like how how they just turn to stone, like the spirit of nature just turn to stone when you don't look at the when you look at them and that sort of thing. And my dad loves walking in nature, and just I have a lot of memories from him when I grew up taking pictures of these stones and often trees as well, that the spirit really shines through. And that's where my connection to the stones and to the land began. Walking in nature with my dad and him taking pictures of the stones and pointing out stones with like a face and that sort of thing. And as I grew older, I started to really try to connect with these and sense their spirit and their sometimes personality and the other spirits of the forest and of the places that I visit. And I often leave a bit some small offerings in those places and just, but it's a more like subtle relationship than with the one that I sense from other traditions, where you really connect with them and make them and work with them in a different way. In the Nordic countries, we are a bit more not that bold, I would say. It's more like I see you, you see me, and there's a connection there. In Sweden, we call it a samförstånd, and yeah, more a subtle embrace by nature, I would say, which might contradict the like harsh aspects of some of the practice that I practice, like the runes that are a bit harsh. But we more connect the places where people lived and died to their spirits and to their um so I and yeah, and where they were buried, more than the mountains, I would say. But I really like working with the stones and with the mountains. Where I live, there's not that much many high mountains, but a lot of boulders in the nature area. And I like to work with the boulders and sense their energy and leave offerings. And I also like to connect with a place through the spirits of that place, spirits of the mound, or spirits um of the stones in that place that have been put there, either most often not by human hand, but by the ice that flow through the landscape during the ice age and just turn everything upside down. So when I teach about the spirit of the stones, um, I guide people to find a place in nature where they feel called to hold ceremonies, where there often are like a big stone where they can put offerings and where they can connect to that place. So more that place, and then because where I live, there's not a lot of mountain tops, but we can connect with the mountains, but it's not, and they are still the wise one for us. Of course, they are wise one. They are, but I think we separate the people that have gone before us in a different way from it's not like specific play not like a specific thing in nature, like the mountains that are connected to the wise ones that has gone before us. There's nothing like that like in the Kero medicine, but so to me it's been a journey to really blend those traditions together. It's I really like connecting with sacred mountains and connecting with the spirit, like with the wise ones and the people that the ones that have gone before us. They're connected to a mountain and that has gone before me, and honor that mountain and the region around it. And I also like going into nature, connecting with the small stones, because that's more the Nordic way, you know. We go into the woods, connect with a place, feel the energies of the place, and then connect with the boulders in that area, or and let them speak to us about what has happened there. So uh, more down to earth and more present, I would say, and not as much like stepping into it is a different way of stepping into the dream time, stepping into beyond to the space beyond time. um I hope you understand what I mean. My English isn't very very good today, but which I often say because it feels like it even though it's probably not as bad as it feels in here. So oftentimes the Swedish way, the Nordic way, is perceived to be more grounded and more down to earth, and not as much up in the sky with the stars and that sort of thing. And we shamanic practitioners in the Nordic countries are more like our nature spirits maybe, and our stone spirits. Like we like to cloak ourselves and be like one with nature and almost blend in, and uh yeah. So we this was a hard one. This was a hard one. So I think I work with the stones in nature and the mountains in nature in the same way I work with the smaller stones and crystals, but just on a larger scale. And instead of, you know, picking up a stone and letting it speak to me, I go into nature and sit by a stone and let it speak to me. And different stones and in different places can have different medicine and different and give me and have different. You can build different connections with them. So I think a part of why this is so hard to describe is because it's a more of a doing and feeling, and it's easier to show, to like take someone into nature and just let them experience it than it is to describe the experience and the connection. I think that is it. So I'm sorry if I've been a bit more like, in Swedish we would say flummig, a bit more like uh what's the word? Yes. And I hope that I hope my message has gone through. And I would like to hear in the comments which perspective, which way of approach do you connect with the most? Do you connect more with the way of like finding a sacred mountain and connecting with that mountain, whether it be Kebnekaise or a mountain in Nepal or a mountain in or Machu Picchu? Or does it resonate more with you to just go into where you live, in the nature where you grew up maybe, or where you're visiting, and just feel the place, speak to the stone, speak to the, we call it bergdagen, mountain in the day. It's where you find a place where there's no moss, almost no moss, no grass, nothing covering the the bedrock. So it's like bedrock in the day. So where the sunlight can hit the bedrock without any trees. So, and I love going to those places and just sit onto the open bedrock and just connect with the bedrock and the mountain below me, you know. Um, so do you which approach do you connect with more, or is it like for me like you're trying to marry them, integrate them into your practice? Which one comes more natural to you? Uh, because for me, it is the second one, and that's why it's so hard to describe because it's a way of the heart, you know. It's uh, yeah, it's the way of my heart. So, which is the way of your heart? Your heart. How do you work with the spirits? Of like the spirits of the stones in the mountains? That's my question to you, and thank you for watching. And if you like this kind of content, even though I was a bit uh flumig today, just look it up, will you? Flum. Flumig. Flumig. So, if you like this kind of content, if you want to know more about my shamanic toolbox or other things, you can like and subscribe. You can also comment. You can comment with questions. You can answer the question I said, or you can put something in there that you would like me to talk about. So, see you in the next one. Walk in beauty with the spirits of the stones. And as I always end my videos, shingling.